Verde here, back to you with our burnout series. We're going to continue that conversation today. How do you recover and thrive through burnout, right? And overcome burnout. So if you are new to this channel, welcome, friend. We have been moving right along with a series on workplace burnout. I felt very much called to talk to my sisters who are women of color, particularly in high power positions, high visibility positions, positions of leadership, or in any professional role, who are suffering from burnout. I am sharing my journey of how I overcame and how I learned how to deal with and live through workplace burnout. So today's topic is transition and preparation. It's transition preparation and downsizing. We left off the last vlog regarding our burnout series. We talked about I was in a hospital bed, and that was the only time that in that season that I was able to rest and really be one with my thoughts and think about how I couldn't go on that way, and what are some of the things I needed to do. I was so on a treadmill and kind of chained to my responsibilities and the lifestyle that I had created, that was very much in my mind dependent on that position that I was in. So it was me recognizing that I could not go on in that way from a health standpoint, right? So at that time I started making a list. Okay, what is it that I can give up, whether it be temporarily or long term? When I say give up, it's not something to where it's like, okay, these are things I like and I'll never see them again, but it's more so, what am I doing that is feeding me? What am I doing that is not necessary? Some of the luxuries that we get used to, some of it is ego driven, some of it is just plain nice. Let's just be clear, it's just plain nice. But some of it is, maybe not even ego driven, but validation seeking. And some of it is, it just feels good and it's something that you genuinely enjoy. And it might be a luxury item or a luxury service or a luxury way of life, a luxury lifestyle. Those things, there's nothing wrong with it. Please don't get that. I'm sitting here with my jewelry and all that kind of stuff. Don't get it twisted. I absolutely think there's nothing wrong with it. I love a soft girl life. But that's exactly it. You are not living a soft girl life in order to attain these things. You are at a place where you have pushed yourself too far. You are stressed out and you are overwhelmed. And now we have to change our way of thinking and change our behaviors in order to survive, in order to be healthy, and in order to mentally be clear and at peace. So that's what I want to talk about today. Downsizing. And again, this is not an easy thing. It's very challenging, depending on, the people that depend on you, your responsibilities, all of the lives and the people that are attached to any decision that you make. And I don't mean from an organization standpoint. I'm talking about from your family, the people that you love, right? You may be the breadwinner. You may be the person, sending kids to college, sending kids to school, that pays for everything. You may be that person. That adds to the stress. So I wanted to talk about my experience and what I, thought about and what got me to that point. And again, I don't come on here and say this lightly. It is very hard once you get used to a certain level, once you get yourself to a certain position. That's why the stress comes on so heavy. It wouldn't be stressful if you were doing something that you didn't like to do and there was nothing tied to it, because guess what? You would just stop. You would just stop. You would just say, I don't want to do this, and quit. But there are so many things tied to it that you feel trapped and kind of in a corner and not able to move or make any maneuvers. So I don't take this lightly. This decision, and I'm looking at my notes, is a very very hard one. And a large part of being successful is the rewards that come with that success. We enjoy the fruits of our labor, the rewards. I'm sorry, looking in this thing, I'm trying to fix my hair. So selecting the things that need to be cut away, whether it be identifying, that is for a season, or that you just really don't need to continue these things, period, right? You like, I didn't really need that. You might have wanted, I always talk about a luxury car, because a luxury car is one of those things, especially for me, where it looks great, and when you really get into it, the maintenance on it, how much it costs when something breaks on it. I had a windshield wiper, even, whether it be, I am in America, so even if it's a foreign car, it may not necessarily be luxury. I had a windshield wiper motor that went out, and it was a ridiculous amount of money for a windshield wiper. Not to mention, either take it to the dealership, which is even more, or finding someone that works on a foreign car, meaning foreign, another country, not in America. It's a lot, right? So some of you may not need that in your life. You may not need that in your life right now. You may not. You may, but you may not. So just choosing what to select, to say, I think we talked about your physical health is first, right? Your physical part, so your stress affecting your numbers, your blood pressure, your eating habits, your diet, your sleep. We talked about physicality. Now it's time to really, you're looking good, you're feeling better. Now I think the next step, or I know for me, the next step was, okay, solution-based person. How do I get myself out of this, right? And there was no way to get myself out of it without downsizing. I needed that time in the hospital, my mind was clear. My blood pressure was so low. It was so low. They were like, "Are you okay?" Yes, it was so. I had to ask, like, is that number too low? I had never heard that number. I had never heard that number for me. It was so low. I wasn't on any meds that was affecting that. I was just so relaxed. And I had no decisions to make outside of me thinking about this. But again, this was a natural thing decisions like no one coming asking me for things, no one coming putting pressure on me for anything. Everyone, you're in a hospital, your family treats you so wonderful. Everyone's all nice and all that. So it was just, I hate to say it, y'all, the hospital was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. So selecting the things and making a list. What can I do without indefinitely or just for a period of time? Again, remember, the goal is not to just, live as a, I don't know, kind of like a hippie off in the sunset that doesn't need deodorant or something. The goal is to actually reach your highest self and not be attached to things. Not to say they won't come, because when you're working in your purpose, then absolutely your gifts and your skills will be recognized and it will make room for you. I'm sorry, y'all, my hair is irritating me. So yeah, it's not to say that you will never get these things again. Your gifts and your skills will make room for you. They will make room for you, and you will. That's why you're in the position you are now. People saw the talent, right, that you had, and you excel, and it lifted you or escalated you up to a position of power. So it's not to say, it's just, you just need to realign those skills in a way that does not burn you out, right? And so it's not to say, so again, not to say that you'll never see these things again. No, that's too daunting to even think about. You'll get those things again if you choose to. It's just a matter of what will be the thing that allows you to afford it. And maybe that will be more aligned with who you are and your natural self, right? Your purpose, your absolute God-given purpose. And that feels better. That feels a lot better. So that's making that list. What I did is I actually started to think about the things that I needed to downsize. Where's the bulk of my money going? Where's the bulk of my stress? If I lost my income, where was the bulk of the stress come from with me being worried to not be able to fulfill that obligation. And so you may want to think about that. It may be your house. I mean, usually those are your biggest bills, right? Your house, your car. I don't know, again, if it's a tuition or something like that. And again, you don't sacrifice anything for your children. So I'm not talking about children. But if you are in a position to where you are spending money on things that are unnecessary and you can put a pause button on it for now, then maybe you could do that, right? Maybe for me, it was the neighborhood I was staying in. I was in a nice house, but the neighbor, you can get that house somewhere else. I loved being in the neighborhood that I was in. And it was, location. So I had to seriously consider that. So things like that. So you'll start thinking about that list. That's what I started doing. I think one of the burdens that contribute to burnout and anxiety is the feeling of being stuck, right? You stuck and trapped in a position because of the total dependence on the income it brings in. So I've already talked about that, looking at my notes here. So yeah, I think this is going to be short and sweet today. I think the question we need to ask ourselves, or that you need to ask yourself, because I asked myself this, what is it all worth? What is it all worth? The price that you are paying to be able to afford some of these things that you so love, that I loved, right? Is it worth that? Are you still with that? Price is higher than the price tag that you're paying for, than the retail price, right? So what is the sweat equity that you have to put in for that thing, right? Is that worth it? The results of your assessment may surprise you. It surprised me of some of the things once I really stripped myself from it. A few big ones to where I just needed to reorganize and realign some things, just adjust some things, I guess I'll say. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I ended up looking forward. I found myself looking forward because I was looking forward to a new life and a new me, right? A new me. I would have done anything to keep that state that I was in once I was in the hospital. I wanted to stay there because I was so at peace, and everything I did after that was relaxing, and it was authentic to who I was, and it was about the demand that was being placed on me. So I implore you to do the same thing. So today was really short. Make a list, sis. Make a list. And I think that's the next step. That was a pivot in my life outside of, my physical self. And then the next one was, okay, how do I downsize? And realize that the financial shackles that are holding me back is my addiction to this luxury lifestyle. And for now, maybe if I didn't have the mental burden of, I have to have this, I need to have this, I need to have my services, I need to have my facials, my chemical pills, my this, my that, for a season, right? My hair, child, how much do we spend on hair and nails and all of that for a season? Y'all see, I got it back. I got it all back. I'm sitting here talking to y'all, recovered, thriving. You'll get it back. You'll get it back, sis. You may just have to put a pause. Now, some things I ain't never putting a pause on this hell. I ain't never putting a pause on, like upkeep. I get it. Again, this is a personal decision of but I'm not putting a pause on my physical upkeep. But what I could put a pause on is the shopping. I don't have to buy a dress every week. I don't have to buy shoes every week. I don't have to buy, I don't even go anywhere. Like, I'm not keeping up with this stuff I'm buying. So those are the types of decisions. Again, the zip code, right? There were no school districts that I had to factor in my zip code. So I was okay with making that change. Of course, I was fine with I was looking forward to the opportunity of maybe finding something that fit me even better, right? And so So yeah, just things like that. Take a look at, your car, all those types of things. I wish, I find myself, I've been watching a lot of New York vlogs. I find myself wishing that I lived somewhere where I didn't have to drive lately. I don't really like to drive. I know y'all watched that Birmingham vlog. I don't really like to drive, and I do because I have to. I'm fiddling with this bracelet. I don't know why I chose now to do that. I don't really like to drive, so I find myself, so the car expense, is that something that you have to hold on to? So I think that's it for today. I just really wanted to add that. That was very important, because I think that money and resources is a huge factor in why we feel chained to things that are making us unhappy. Insurance. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. Insurance did not bother me. Health insurance did not bother me as much, because I told you before, I was an entrepreneur. I worked for myself for many, many years before I became an employee again. And so that part didn't bother me, because I would go and get my own health insurance and, all of those type things, my own, IRA and savings and investments, all of those things. You don't need an employer for that. People work for themselves. People form LLCs. People form corporations, S corps, all of those. You do your research. Do it, and maybe that's something that you're thinking. If that's on your list of something, I need those. Maybe not start with the things you could do without, but start with the things that you have to have. And maybe that's easier. I started with the things I could do without. But if you maybe want to start with something that you have to have and secure those things, right? Health insurance is very important. And so do some research. And once you start getting out in this market, maybe you'll find that it's not as bad as you think. Not as bad as you think. Health insurance is expensive, don't get me wrong, but it's expensive through your employer. It's expensive. You just take a look. Take a look. Your life in your situation is going to be different. Each person is going to be different. So that's what I did for that. I think I just really wanted to focus on the downsizing, and being able to free yourself. The more free, think about it. If you were remember, if you were in college, if you went to college and I think about that because that's my frame of reference. Like, that's the last time I had no job, didn't have to pay any bills, and everything was just paid for me, right? And that may not be your situation, but that was the last time. Or if that wasn't your situation, maybe when you were a child, that maybe back it up to when you were a child, where you didn't work, you just went to school, and everything was the least responsibilities you have, financial burdens you have, and it doesn't mean you don't have a lot, but maybe reducing the cost as much as possible. What is your bare minimum? Once you see that number, it may mean taking another position, but not having to start off as VP or start off as, CFO. It may mean I'll start off as a manager, or I'll start off as a individual contributor at this level, because this makes me happy. This is my God's purpose for me, and I don't have to worry so much about the actual salary. It doesn't have to be as high. I got insurance through this employer, and I'm happy. So think about those things. Since I have to go, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, productive day. This series I am enjoying. Please like, subscribe, share. If you are not subscribed to this channel, what are you doing? And I have started even sharing more of my, weekly adventures, things like that. So you will see a little bit. Again, I am a fashion girly, so you will see a little bit of everything. But this burnout series, this was me. This was God calling me to do. This is not just something I was like, I want to share my story. No. I felt called to do this, so there's someone out there that needs to hear this. I know there's someone out there that needs to hear this. So please like, subscribe, share, comment. I want to hear from you, and I will see you all later. Bye.